just totally disregarded it too. Like, okay, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna start so when I want to. Okay.
Well, that was a very quick countdown there, you know.
Yeah, that wasn't exactly 5 seconds, but you know.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. All right. I see you. All right. 5, 4.5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the PWF Empire Podcast. Jay here, along with a full house. We have Dalton, Lucas, and Evan. How are you guys doing tonight? I'm terrible.
Just terrible because of your Christmas shopping woes. I know that, but hey, man, I'm here, so I'm feeling good. It's been a long time, but I'm very glad. Very glad to be back. First time since Survivor Series. I think I've been around, so great to have a chance to talk with everybody. But, I mean, come on, Jay. You've got to be feeling the Christmas spirit.
I am feeling the Christmas spirit, and this is the spirit of the devil. This has absolutely nothing to do with Jesus right now. I'm exhausted.
Don't be a Scrooge, Jay.
No, I am the fucking Scrooge. The Grinch. I'm their secret love child.
Wow.
That's how terrible I feel right now.
That's not something I really knew about you until tonight, Jay.
Okay, so since I don't know, maybe you guys can help me get into the Christmas spirit, though. One question that I have for all of you, with this being the holiday season, and with us being wrestling fans, that's what connects all of us to each other and the people who are listening. One question that I have for you all is, if you had a wrestling-related Christmas wish, what would it be?
Oh, man, I can think of so many.
Okay, what you got?
Well, I guess the obvious one is obviously WWE giving me a better product, but that's
More
pretty
specifically.
Well, I have to throw that one out there because it's true, and it's number one. But I guess the second one would be, and I guess myself and Evan kind of talked about this earlier, having Ronda Rousey arrive to the WWE for the new year 2017.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
I think my wish would be that I can watch Raw and SmackDown and enjoy both shows like an even amount. Not sit there and say to myself, well, here's 3 more hours. I want to look forward to the shows the way I always did, and that's something that I just feel like has been missing, especially in 2016. But if there's anything, I do have to have that cliche wish of just hoping and praying that third hour of Raw somehow just disappears into the mist and is forgotten about altogether.
Oh,
that's a good one.
Evan, you dog, you took my wish.
Oh,
how dare you?
I'm the giving kind, so we can share the wish together, Dalton. I mean, this is a time of giving.
Yeah, if you multiply it by 2, doesn't that mean the likelihood of it coming true, it's like increased? Or is that how Christmas works? I don't know.
Man, Santa don't know math.
And here's one that might not be popular with many people, but it's pretty popular with me. Please, Roman Reigns, I beg of you, take the Universal Championship away from Kevin Owens.
Yeah, you were pretty much cheerleading for that going into this last pay-per-view, Roadblock, End of the Line.
Yes, I was.
Okay.
And I have my reasons.
And those might be?
Well, number one, Kevin Owens just hasn't been the rightful champion that we thought he was going to be. He's easily been a paper champion who's been overshadowed by this whole Seth Rollins and authority crap that just completely was the reason I stopped watching Monday Night Raw, to be quite honest with you.
Hold up. Wait a minute. I mean, I'll give you he wasn't the champion we thought he was going to be, but he has not been overshadowed by Seth Rollins or Triple H or any of that because that hasn't happened on TV. No, he hasn't. Kevin Owens and Jericho have been the basic staple of Raw every single week.
But have they been talked about in a lightful way, in the way that you would like for them to be talked about?
Well, of course not, but you got to be a realist here. Like I remember the criticism.
Jokes.
Well, I remember the criticism of Kevin Owens the minute he got the Universal title. I distinctly remember I'm not sure who brought it up, but I distinctly remember the criticism being that with him wearing a suit the week after he won the title, he was going to be a corporate champion and something of a Seth Rollins chicken shit heel, and he's been sort of a chicken shit heel, but not as an authoritative puppet. If anything,
was that Cass?
That might have been Cass. I think it was Cass. Because, you see a suit on somebody like Kevin Owens who looks like he doesn't even own a suit or where to buy a suit, and all of a sudden you get worried. But to be honest with you, Kevin Owens has been behind Jericho the best thing about Raw. In fact, their friendship, their brotherhood has been the best thing about Raw.
Yeah, that was the thing that had me still watching as long as I did. I mean, I haven't watched the last few weeks because I've needed a nice little break period, I guess you could say, a sabbatical. But, honestly, Jericho and Owens have been one of the most dynamic and interesting things going on in wrestling just because they were funny and entertaining. They were simple, but funny and entertaining to a point where I was like, okay, this is a reason why I can continue to watch this because these guys provide me enough of a laugh that it's getting me by. And that shows you how good those two actually are together. But I mean, when it comes to the title reign of Kevin Owens, I do think it has been underwhelming. I don't know. This was the kind of guy who I was like dreaming and wishing would be WWE champion of any sort. And, now he's been champion for 3-4 months or whatever. And I don't really feel like it's been all that memorable or all that great. There haven't been all that many standout type of moments since he's been champion, which is something that I was really hoping for.
Well, you know what? I'm going to switch things over to SmackDown because I have a Christmas wish that concerns SmackDown. If I could get one wish, one wrestling-related wish, my Christmas wish would be for Daniel Bryan to have the ability to be cleared by WWE to compete in one more match.
Oh, man.
Yes, sir.
Just one.
The biggest one right there. That's
Just
the biggest
one, because what's going on with him and The Miz, and even with Baron Corbin, and I noticed something. I'll say that next, but what's going on with him and The Miz, I've said it before on here, that if WWE was building up to Daniel Bryan versus The Miz, every single thing that we have seen thus far, it would be happening. It's as if they're building up to a match, and it's wonderful what we're getting from those two, the jabs that they're taking at each other every now and again on SmackDown and talking smack, and it's done so much to enrich an already great Miz character. But there's always going to be that kind of like void there, and not necessarily saying that people are going to be angry because we're not getting Daniel Bryan versus The Miz, but that would be the cherry on top. My God, as great as what's going on right now is, if this does lead to a match, if in some alternate universe is possible, damn it, I think that would be so great to see. It really would be. So that would be my Christmas wish.
Yeah, and the tension and everything that's been going on with those two has been something that you want to see. Like, there's an extra layer when those two guys are going at it. It's not like these other feuds, which, feel like, I don't want to say feel forced. Some do, some don't. But, they feel like they are manufactured and they are part of the story and they are part of the narrative. This feels like it takes that narrative, shoves it to the side, and it's something personal between these two guys that they need to work out. And that's why there's that extra realism aspect for that. The talking smack segments in particular between those two, and a match would just be, like you said, the cherry on top, and I really would love to see it. Honestly, out of my wish list, it would be up toward the top. There's no question about it, because seeing Daniel Bryan wrestle just the one time, because it would be a shocker. People aren't expecting it. All of a sudden, Bryan says, "By the way, Miz, I'm cleared," and then hits him with like a running knee. The crowd will go absolutely insane, and then they have their match, and Miz has been the MVP of WWE in 2016 anyway. Miz has had himself, probably the best run of his career right now.
Definitely. I would say most definitely the best run of his career.
If there was like a most improved award, I would definitely give it to The Miz, because he's excelled so far, and I've enjoyed his work so much. And I think, obviously we understand the pressure that WWE faces with trying to approve Daniel Bryan for a match like that, but at the same time, it's it doesn't do them any justice. Like it can only get so far if there isn't some kind of match to be the payoff for this feud. And like I said, I understand the pressure. Daniel Bryan suffered a neck injury. WWE doesn't want to face the political backlash of possibly, giving Daniel Bryan the okay, and then what if he gets hurt? And I understand it's the reason this works so well is because it's the story of an indie guy criticizing what most people consider to be a safe WWE guy. But if there's anybody on the roster right now that's as hot as The Miz is, it would work because, hey, The Miz works a safe style. Daniel Bryan can be safe. Even if the match is like a minute, maybe 2 minutes, he works a safe style, right?
Yep,
hey, you're not going to get injured.
said it out of his own mouth. There you go.
You can use his own words against him. He works too safe. I'm not going to get hurt.
Yep, there you go. Boom. Book it. But what I wanted to say earlier concerning Daniel Bryan and his effect on The Miz, something that I'm also seeing now is his effect that he's having on Baron Corbin as well. And I look at the character of Baron Corbin. He's a very he's like a sadist. He's a guy who gets pleasure out of inflicting pain on others, and there's like a conflict going on within him where he's like, well, isn't this what you guys want me to do? I'm going out there and I'm beating ass and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. Why aren't I getting all of these opportunities at championships? And then just to see that struggle going on with him and Daniel Bryan wanting him to go a different route, and the clashes that they've had on Talking Smack, they haven't been as hyped as the ones with The Miz and Daniel Bryan, but I believe that it's adding layers to the character of Baron Corbin. And I look at Daniel Bryan, and that dude is he's playing the hell out of the role of general manager, because anytime he interacts with someone, I feel as if they are enriched because of that. We've seen it in a great deal with The Miz. I'm seeing it with Baron Corbin and with people like Alexa Bliss and Becky Lynch. Just anybody that he interacts with, I feel as if they're gaining something out of that situation. And if that is what we like, I don't even know if that's what WWE wants out of a general manager. I don't even know what I'm trying to say here, but basically that should be the goal of a general manager, where we can get that overness of Daniel Bryan, and yeah, you got the crowd chanting yes, 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 whatever, but what he has, it's injected into the rest of the roster, the people who are actually in the ring wrestling on a week-to-week basis, and that is an effective general manager to me, an effective authority figure role, and he's playing the hell out of that role.
Yeah, he's like the best on-screen GM I've seen in a long time. Like, I mean, because, I know there was those few years in there where the GM role almost kind of died. I mean, you had, John Laurinaitis and Teddy Long and, all that, the weird days of that, but honestly, it's been a while since you've had those like consistent on-screen GMs like you do right now with Foley and with Bryan, and I think Bryan, like you said, is playing the hell out of that role. He's definitely the best on-screen GM I've seen in a long time, so I think that he deserves all the credit in the world, and I think that the injury has made him say, okay, how do I reinvent myself? How do I make myself still a part of this show that can be, not only relevant, but still to help others out, become even better. And he's done that. He's done that tenfold. So that's really amazing on Bryan's part. I mean, that just shows you how good he is overall. Like we always say, oh, the guy's amazing in the ring. His talking ability, whatever, it is what it is. But, I honestly think he has improved that talking ability to no end. And that's a credit to him again. Now he can't do in-ring stuff, but look what he's doing as a GM. Honestly, it's some of the most impressive work of his entire WWE career. And I really mean that. Like, he's been so good, so effective.
And you want to know why a lot of that also has to do with why he's been one of the best GMs in recent years? It's because he's fresh. Like, he relates with the audience. He's in touch with the product. He's in touch with the fans and also in touch with the wrestlers. I mean, keep in mind, Daniel Bryan was literally a wrestler last year. So, of course, you're going to get good interaction between him and his co-workers. And yes, I say co-workers because that's what they still are, because he has that connection with them. There's still that bond. People feed off of his energy. And you can tell that he still has passion for the business. And I think that's transcending well with the whole roster over on SmackDown. You can't say the same thing about Raw, But you know what, Jay? I'm going to jump on that bandwagon with you for the new year. Daniel Bryan, I mean, not only would that be great for the fans, but for the WWE in terms of buzz, WrestleMania, excitement, oh my God. This is amazing.
That's not just because we want to go.
Yeah, now I hate that I brought this up because damn it, I don't want to like sell the idea so bad that people are like it's a fucking failure if we don't get Daniel Bryan in the match. It's just a Christmas wish. You know, some people wish for
world peace. But it's a good
peace.
Christmas wish, and it should be acknowledged.
I mean,
yes.
like
also,
world peace, that's a good Christmas wish too. But I mean, come on now.
He's got us eating out of the palm of out of his hands, you know.
Well, let me ask you guys a question since I haven't been watching SmackDown. But is the interactions between Miz and Daniel Bryan like still taking place on a weekly basis?
Well, it happens every now and again. Like I've said before that the Miz is must-see TV. Period. No matter whether he's in the ring with Daniel Bryan or not. Now, if it's him and Daniel Bryan, it's like it's not must-see TV. It's motherfucker, get your ass to the TV screen and watch SmackDown immediately. TV. That's what that is. But he was in a segment with Renee Young on SmackDown, and I don't know if you heard what happened, but
yep, I heard.
Yeah, it was after a match with, I think it was Apollo Crews with the Intercontinental Championship on the line, and Renee Young is interviewing The Miz, and she is asking him questions about an obsession with Dean Ambrose, and he's like, okay, well, aren't you the one that's obsessed with him, seeing as you're sleeping with him? And she slapped the shit out of him and, you know, walked off. Now, on that, I gotta say, like, I was waiting all night to get a segment. Like, you know how they'll like jump backstage and, oh my God, it's chaos back here. Then somebody is fighting or getting beat up. I did not see Maurice beat the shit out of Renee Young, and I'm a little disappointed. Okay.
Where's our ride or die chick? Where's she at?
See, I don't want to question her ride or die-ness, so I'm just gonna say she's concocting a plan in her mind. That's what I'll say. She'll get her back eventually. Maybe we gotta watch Total Divas to see it happen, because I think both of them are on Total Divas now. Yeah. So.
You know why that segment was great? Because much like Daniel Bryan and The Miz and their own interactions, it very much plays to the internet crowd and breaks the fourth wall, and it teases us with just enough reality, much like Daniel Bryan and The Miz's like anger towards each other as far as indie versus safe WWE superstar. With The Miz mentioning the real life relationship between Ambrose and Renee Young, it's so great. It's just enough reality so that the reaction of Renee slapping The Miz is believable. And if Maurice were there, her beating up Renee would also be believable.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You know what The Miz is starting to remind me of, and what I think he's becoming? He's basically becoming that star now where anyone that works with him is going to benefit from him. And one of the guys from back in the day who always used to be famous for doing that is Shawn Michaels. And I'm not keep in mind, I'm not comparing The Miz to Shawn Michaels in terms of talent, but I'm just saying that in terms of like putting over superstars.
Yeah, we don't want to make Shawn Michaels look bad by doing that.
but in terms of like just getting a good storyline, a good story, a good feud, a good match, good television, I think The Miz has become that kind of worker now where whoever you pair up with him is going to benefit from him. I mean, just look at what he's done with Dolph Ziggler. I mean, I think Dolph Ziggler should be thanking The Miz because, to be quite honest with you, Dolph Ziggler The Miz made Dolph Ziggler relevant. And I think that with this feud now, which it seems like it's going to happen between Miz and Dean Ambrose very much needed this because he's another guy who, for the long time here in 2016, has been struggling to find a balance between his character. And I think that him working with The Miz is going to be great because you're going to get the best of Dean Ambrose because he's working with The Miz. And I think that's what we need to see more of. We need to see an aggressive, crazy, lunatic side of Dean Ambrose, and I think we're about to get that. I mean, who the hell is going to touch his wife now? You know, he's going to be like, who the hell is The Miz? Who the hell does The Miz think he is? And now because of that, we're going to see it play out on television, this crazy, badass side of Dean Ambrose. And that's what The Miz does. He brings out the best in his opponents. He's the best heel on the roster because of that. He knows how to antagonize. He knows how to cut promos. He knows how to shut people up. He does it time and time again, and I can't wait.
It's about time we get a badass side of Dean Ambrose. It's been long overdue, I would say, because this is a guy who's WWE champion, and I mean, man, talk about underwhelming stuff. I think Dean Ambrose has been maybe the biggest disappointment of 2016 because of the fact that he's a guy who has a lot of potential and a lot of talent, and that's something that a lot of people may not agree with and might not see, but I personally have always felt that he's just got a lot of talent. The guy is very, very good, but I think a lot of the things that he's been doing this year and that he has been a part of just haven't been very good. They've been subpar, and again, it's hard to know. Is that more on him as a performer? Is it on more of the writing that he's been involved in, the feuds he's been involved in? Again, it's kind of hard to say in some ways, but I honestly think Ambrose, when we saw him on Stone Cold's podcast, I thought that was the most, like the biggest point that needed to be made was like step up to that next level, the way Stone Cold kind of asked him to. And so I think Ambrose has been kind of missing something. I think that he needs to unlock another part of himself to really get there. Maybe an opponent like The Miz can help him to do that.
Yes.
Even it's kind of like a blending of the off-screen stuff with the on-screen stuff. And I think that might be a big solution for Ambrose. But damn, I hope this is going to do something for him, because I've been waiting and checking my list twice, and it isn't happening so far.
Well, it did happen with Triple H earlier in the year. I thought that the Dean Ambrose that we saw back then, he was damn good. I liked what he was doing on a week-to-week basis back when Roman Reigns was.
But he was still being funny at the same. He was still being funny at the same time, and it's hard to take him seriously when we know he's supposed to be taken seriously, but at the same time, he's also trying to be this funny dork, and it's like the two just don't mix. I'm talking about just Ambrose completely being true to his character here.
There's a certain balance that you have to strike there, and there have been times in the past where I think that Dean Ambrose has effectively struck that balance, and then there are other times where it's like, okay, this is too goddamn goofy, and this guy is more of a prankster than he is a lunatic, and they just have to find that right balance.
One of the criticisms, since Evan brought up the Stone Cold podcast, one of the criticisms that Ambrose had, at least when Stone Cold was grilling him about, like, you're the champion, you're supposed to be the face of the company, you need to step up. One of his points to Austin's counterpoint was that he had a lot of good ideas. When he mentioned Brock Lesnar and various other parts of the year, he had a lot of good ideas, and they were just shot down. And it makes me wonder, did that conversation with Stone Cold light a fire under him, or did it really more depress him? Because it's not like I think Dean Ambrose doesn't innately have the talent, because we've already seen him do what we want him to do earlier in the year. But I do think that maybe he put a little too much weight into the idea that you simply can't present your own ideas when you work for this company. And it's a criticism for a reason. It's a widely held belief that you simply cannot, unless you're super over, you can't have freedom of thought or freedom of choice as far as your own character goes. And I think Ambrose, as a character, majority-wise, tends to lean towards the goofy, sitcom-based comedy angles that the writers present towards him, when in reality, if he would just be a badass and not just do shit to be random, but actually merit being a badass, we would enjoy more of his character like we saw leading into his feud with Triple H.
Right.
I just want there to be able to be a time where we can finally say, I look at Dean Ambrose and I say, this is a lunatic because he does this, and that, not because the commentators and the presenters and the, you know what I mean?
Shirt.
Yeah, like, let's just say he's a lunatic 100 times and maybe everyone will believe it. I don't like that attitude.
It works for some people. It works. I don't know how, but they buy it.
And that's why, and that's why I personally felt like the babyface turn that happened to Dean Ambrose back in 2014, I personally felt it was way too early to push this guy as a babyface, because number one, out of the three in the Shield, he was actually the one that should have best fit the heel role, and he was the best heel, and yet they did the opposite of that, and they turned him babyface, which was the wrong move in my opinion. And yeah, he had momentum for the first month with Seth Rollins, But that's because him and Seth Rollins worked so well together, and I think that's why that magic worked. But as soon as they stepped away with him and Seth Rollins, all else went wrong for Dean Ambrose since then, and he hasn't been able to recover. But yeah, I agree. Pairing him up with The Miz, I think this is going to do it for him. I really have high expectations for this. But I also believe that because of how great The Miz has been on SmackDown, it almost seems so unfair that he's not the main event right now, that he's not the world champion, because boy, oh boy, with a guy that has so much momentum on his back right now in The Miz, it seems like he should be the one carrying that belt and not so much AJ Styles, because I don't know if it's just me. I know I haven't been watching, but I haven't been hearing a lot of buzz coming out of AJ Styles other than the fact that he continues to lose to freaking James Ellsworth.
Well, he beat the shit out of him.
He's currently injured.
He beat the shit out of him on Tuesday, so that was good. But yeah, this has negatively affected my view of AJ Styles, and I believe this was Tony who said this. I don't know if she said it on air or off air, but she was talking about how, as smart as AJ Styles is portrayed to be, the fact that he has not found an answer for someone like a James Ellsworth yet, that's a little troubling because it undercuts his gimmick. AJ Styles is a student of the game. He studies his opponents. We saw how he made John Cena look like a goddamn fool in the first match that they had against each other, and like he outclassed him, out wrestled him, just outed everything about John Cena and the ring. And then James Ellsworth, that's the person that beats AJ Styles 3 times, but yeah, he did beat the shit out of him on Tuesday, but
what does that even mean? I mean, anybody could beat up James Ellsworth. That's what I'm trying to say. AJ Styles. Go ahead.
I'm not gonna provide any excuses at all. I have not liked what's happened with him and AJ Styles at all.
Right, and I just personally feel like, because we had this discussion, I think 2 weeks ago about Wrestler of the Year, I just personally feel like just because someone is on top right now doesn't necessarily mean that because they're on top, it's the only reason why we should classify them under that category.
And see,
which is why
there's a thing that we learn in the military. I think it's called recency. It's looked at as a negative thing, where it's like you have to make sure, because we have these things called enlisted performance reports, and you have to make sure you look at the entire rating period and not just what happened recently. So recency, you can't just look at that. But that's another conversation for another day, and that day is what, Saturday?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, well, if I'm able to make it, I can't wait. But but yeah. So with AJ Styles, again, I think he needs more right now, and unfortunately for him, he doesn't have more. I'm hearing John Cena's coming back next Tuesday, but do we really want to see Cena against AJ Styles one more time?
Yes.
So, okay, maybe, yes, fine. But if that does happen, who do you really think is going to win that match? I mean, come on now.
See, I'm not one of those guys, and you guys should know this at this point. I am not one of those guys where it's like I automatically go with the Cena loss. If it works for the situation for John Cena to lose, or if it works that way for him to win, whatever will be, will be. I have to be one that looks at the storyline leading into the match, what could possibly happen afterwards, and then, okay, well, who does it make sense for, for them to win this match?
Well, that's easy for me to determine, and you know why. I've said it many times, but I guess we just have to wait and see.
Oh yeah, you're the Cena mark, right?
I would say out of everyone on this panel right now, I'm probably the biggest Cena fan.
I mean, I think Cena coming back and facing AJ Styles is kind of like unfinished business anyway. You know what I mean? It's kind of like Cena, you're not really sure what you're getting with him now going forward anyway, because we've all heard the reports that he might only wrestle about 6 months out of 2017. We don't know when he's going to come and go. And so, honestly, him and Styles some more. I mean, those matches were excellent. And I still feel like there is some unfinished business there anyway. AJ Styles still mocking John Cena, with the never give up and the, he's the the champ that runs the camp and all these other things that he's said since he's beaten Cena. So he's basically taken the victories over Cena and made it part of his persona, which I've loved so much. I think that's one of the elements of AJ Styles that has been such a positive. Like taking a second to look away from the Ellsworth stuff, man, has that been cool. I don't know what you guys think, but I thought that's always been amazing that he's taken that win, and we're not forgetting that he beat John Cena.
Yes.
We're plastering that out on the billboard. You know what I mean? And I love that element of AJ Styles.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
really big into like upward mobility and stuff like that. So I've said it before where it's like, okay, you beat John Cena, then you move on to the championship. That seems like a natural progression to me, and you put it perfectly there, Evan. He took that win over John Cena and incorporated it into his character. Like, that forms a foundation of who we know AJ Styles to be. And I wish that kind of awareness would happen a lot more often in WWE, because I think it's very important, and it puts extra importance on what we see on a week-to-week basis. The fact that you can go back to this moment and say, okay, here's where this guy shot to the moon right here, or this victory or loss, whatever it may be, it redefined who that person is as a character in this universe. And the fact that AJ Styles was able to get that out of his feud with John Cena, great stuff.
I love when characters remind the audience what credibility they have, and not to say like, oh, we forgot it so easily that you have to remind us, but that you won't let us forget.
Exactly.
Because something like a clean win over Cena, that comes once in a fucking, like, every 5 blue moons. That does not happen. Like, what, you had KO prior to AJ, and then that was it? In the recent memory?
You know something, Dalton?
Alberto Del Rio, did you say that one?
Yeah, that.
Okay, yeah, at a Money or Hell in a Cell. What, Lucas?
Oh, I was gonna say, you know something, Dalton? I think that now with him coming back, it's gonna start happening more often, where he drops losses or he drops wins, and instead he starts losing, because we all know he's at that age now where it's like, you know, you got to pass the torch. So
but that's good though. More character evolution there. Now John Cena is becoming that grizzled vet who's kind of on the outside looking in, and now getting wins for him isn't automatic anymore. And we saw that on his face in that match with AJ Styles. I remember we talked about it at the time of how, and it's still ingrained in my mind. I remember how he had that almost helpless look on his face. I don't think I can beat this guy. It was written all over his face, and I'm pretty damn sure that was intentional. If it wasn't intentional, it was damn sure good, because it told me that story. It gave me that narrative. It told me he doesn't think he can beat AJ Styles, and that's something I've never seen that in a John Cena match before, and maybe that's something that we'll start to see a little bit more frequently, especially now that he's maybe not going to be competing, 12 months out of the year, 365 days. He's going to be competing maybe only half of that amount of time.
Yep.
You know something about John Cena? He still hasn't admitted that AJ Styles is a better wrestler. Remember, that was a big thing.
Oh, that's right. And that happened back in September or October or something like that.
So AJ Styles has been gracious. He hasn't even been pressing the issue, but maybe, when Cena gets back, he's going to be like, okay, dude, this was a stipulation for the goddamn match. Say I'm the better wrestler. So we'll see if that happens.
I hope it does happen. I hope he does come out right away and wants as soon as Cena comes out, boom, AJ's out there. And honestly, that's great, because it already makes SmackDown, makes the WWE Championship already a lot more interesting. And I mean, it's funny because we always talked about, for years, all of us fans had talked about the idea of Styles versus Cena as like this unbelievable fantasy match. I can't imagine how amazing that'll be, and it really has lived up to that expectation, at least in my belief. It's been every bit as good. So the more the merrier when it comes to Cena versus Styles. I mean, obviously, let's not overdo it, but I think there's still plenty of room to grow with that feud.
Just for history's sake, it'd be great to hear Cena actually audibly say you're the better wrestler, though I don't think we'll get it in that format. But, I mean, if we're talking about great storytelling, it was really, really poetic to have Cena rest his wristband down in the ring right after their match. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the same thing. I mean, you have to interpret it that way, but I mean, it told a lot.
Yeah, that was good stuff there. That was good.
It was I think we're gonna see a transformation within John Cena very, very soon.
Well, speaking of transformations, let's talk a little bit about Neville.
Yes.
Because I have to say, what I have seen from Neville, and it's only been a few days, I'm fucking loving every single second of it. This whole heel Neville, king of the cruiserweight type thing, and I now understand more of what Cass was talking about and why he was so excited for Neville to be in the cruiserweight division. And I'll put my own little spin on it, because I've called the cruiserweight division before the Hobo Fight League, because it's like WWE has collected the most saddest individuals on the planet, and they're like forcing them to fight for our pleasure. But Neville is a different kind of character, because he's not attempting to sell a sob story to anyone. You know, you have the Rich Swans and the TJ Perkins and the Brian Kendricks, and Neville is just a guy who is angry, bitter as hell, and knows that he's better than everyone else, and he wants to go out to the ring and he wants to prove it. He wants to dominate, and that's worth a whole hell of a lot to me, just for the sake of variety and the fact that it's actually good. And he is playing the hell out of this role. Like, I'm looking at Neville and I'm like, dude, like, where is this coming from? We see this guy and he's known for his flips, and he's very athletic in the ring. I think when it comes to in-ring performances, Neville is one of the most dynamic superstars on WWE's roster. And the fact that he can play a character like he's playing right now, and we've only seen what was the last pay-per-view? Roadblock, End of the Line, Raw, and then 205 Live. 3 friggin' shows, and he's doing a damn good job so far. So yeah, I can't wait to see what the future holds for Neville in the cruiserweight division.
The real gripe that I ever had with Neville was the fact that there was like no real identity to put to his face, you know? It was always like, you know what, I really like this guy, he's so athletic and, like you said, dynamic, but then I was like, but who is this guy? Like, who are you? What are you all about? And for the first time since he's been in WWE, you get that impression now. For me, him being a heel is very exciting. Like that actually has me liking the idea of the cruiserweight division right now for one of the only times. And it's sad to say that, because I was excited for the cruiserweight division. It hasn't been exciting at all in any way, shape, or form. And, you know, I haven't even watched the last couple of weeks. So it tells you how much I cared about that cruiserweight division. Not much at all. And it was one of the things that I was hoping would keep me going, that it would be one of the reasons why I would continue to watch. And then you throw Neville into the equation, and he's a guy with some establishment already in WWE, thankfully. It's very little, but at least, you know, people could say, hey, I know who that guy is. Now he has an identity to himself. Now you know what he's all about, and that's very exciting, very impressive on his part, because he's playing it up well, and very impressive on WWE's part for writing him a damn character. Actually, you know what? It's not that impressive on their part. It's long overdue, is what it is. Long overdue.
I think Evan hit the nail on the head there, as far as saying up until now Neville has had no discernible character, because we see him in the ring, we see his physique. He's like 5'8", 5'9", and can do a German suplex to Kevin Owens. Like, that kind of strength from a man that size already speaks volumes. But yeah, he hasn't had a discernible character. And with somebody who just says, I'm going to go out there and prove I'm the best, I'm bitter, I'm angry, what that says to me is your kind of character, size-wise maybe not, but your kind of character is exactly what Dolph Ziggler would be if Dolph Ziggler had credibility. And I think the fact that we already recognize Neville, and we're putting a face to a name to a cruiserweight division that has had a lackluster performance so far, is a very good thing. You know, there are some that would say, oh, well, we already knew Brian Kendrick. Well, yes, but his appeal was he's logical for people that don't actually think about what he's actually saying. And whereas Neville, I can look at his face, I can look at Neville's face and see he's pissed off. I can read the emotions on his face. And I don't know if it's just the way he moves his mouth, or his beard. I don't know if it's a small change in appearance, but whatever he has done to channel this new character, I can read his emotions like a book, and I'm loving it because I feel like he's legitimate.
Yeah, he has like a permanent scowl on his face, and when he talks, you can see you can hear the grisliness in his voice. Good shit.
Looks like He looks like someone just pissed in his cereal.
Okay, so I want to talk about someone else too. Now, I'm going to need some help on this one, possibly from you, Dalton. Because from people that I trust, I've been hearing good things about Braun Strowman.
Are you trusting me because I actually watch Raw and I'm not a part of the Underground Railroad?
Exactly.
Oh wait, apparently didn't he take down like Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins at the end of Raw this past week? That's what I heard.
Yeah.
So I happened to catch this. I didn't actually catch Raw and SmackDown in their entirety, but I watched the highlights on the WWE YouTube page. And what I did see was, other than Braun Strowman actually like throwing, I think it was Kalisto or Sin Cara through like some Christmas ornaments and shit. Of course, he beat down some jobbers. He, at the end of the evening, when Jericho and Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns finished their tag match, he attacked both Rollins and Reigns. I didn't see more to any extent of like what he did do to them, but I do know he beat them and left them laying in the ring like face down. Mm-hmm. So I think it really adds credibility. Like, I already was enjoying Strowman because he was simple, straightforward. He didn't need some kind of long, verbose, speaking pattern. He simply just thought, I'm going to destroy everybody. I will leave no stone unturned. You will all fear my wrath. And who better to take out than the person who's positioned in both the internet's mind and somewhat in real life as the heir to the championship. So I'm actually really enjoying what I'm seeing from Braun Strowman, and if anything else, like, it got him cheered. Like, of course, if you beat up Roman Reigns, you're gonna get cheered.
But I think people are
maybe we
getting
should
their
have
hopes
Roman
up.
Reigns beat up Roman Reigns.
Then what'll happen? Will they
physically
cheer?
be possible?
Or will they boo? I mean, what will the people do when Roman Reigns attacks Roman Reigns and spears Roman Reigns? Like, if he let's just see Roman Reigns spear Roman Reigns. Find out next time on Monday Night Raw. Wow. What a tagline.
Then he'd really be Superman. Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean,
Feuding
he's
with
so good
himself.
he can attack himself.
Yeah.
That's how good he is. That is how good.
But going back to this Braun Strowman thing, I think this could either be one of two things. Number one, I think it could possibly be that they're hyping him up for a big Royal Rumble performance. Or number two, it could simply mean that he's next in line to win the United States Championship for Roman Reigns to move on to bigger and better things at the Royal Rumble.
Okay.
Well, I'm somebody who thinks that Strowman is, like, he has potential. There's no question in my mind about that. Like, and I think we saw some of that in these last few weeks anyway. Again, I didn't see his match with Sami Zayn, but I heard that he had himself a really good performance, and I know that those two guys actually kind of bounced off each other better than I was expecting. And I mean, the look of Braun Strowman is goes without question. I mean, this man looks like he could murder, kill, destroy anything in his way, which is to me that means something. That's important, because that type of intimidating look means this guy is somebody to be reckoned with. He's a force to be reckoned with. It's mainly just, is he good enough to actually be that force? Mm-hmm. I feel like that, because there's a lot of guys who come and go in WWE who could be that force. Plenty of guys who are big enough, who are strong enough, who have that, oh my God, he's going to destroy everyone in his path. But does he have what it takes to be that force? I actually think that there might be something there. And if they're having him attack guys who are more centered toward the main event, I mean, I think that shows you that they are high on him. And honestly, I'm starting to like him more and more myself over time. I think he's starting to come into his own. And I think the reason he was kind of a joke at first and why people didn't take him seriously was just because he came up so early. He was very, very green when he first came up to the main roster with the Wyatt family. So maybe that was really the biggest mistake that could have been made, was him getting brought up so early. Because again, when someone's that green, they really they're not going to perform to the level you want them to. And why would they? They're so, you know what I mean? They're so early on in their career. So I think over some time, I think he's really improved quite a bit.
One of the other issues is he looks like Spanky from the Little Rascals. So, yeah.
Yes, that's always that.
I'm telling you, when they were like stacked on top of each other and they had on the trench coat and the beard, that is Braun Strowman right there. But yeah, so I guess this could possibly be something that I check in on just to see how Braun Strowman is doing, because he has the whole voice thing going on, and that earns him some extra consideration in my book. Just
I'm Braun Strowman.
You got to work on that one a little bit.
Yes, to his credit,
I tried.
It's okay. You could do a little better, Lucas. To his credit, he hasn't lost clean yet. Well, since his solo debut, because he did lose to Sami Zayn, but because it was a time limit match and it wasn't a pinfall, which, by the way, that finish was a really dumb finish. How are you going to give your finisher as Sami Zayn? Like, how are you going to give a hell of a haluva kick in the corner, back away, and then Strowman not attack you? Like, I understand Sami just won the match, but just because the bell rings doesn't mean you can't go beat him the fuck up. Like, when did that stop you when Mick Foley was coming out on Raw?
It actually probably it should have probably made him want to attack him more, because he should be pissed off because he just lost, But in another way, though, I do want to say it's kind of a safe way to have Strowman lose without him getting pinned or look weak in any way, shape, or form. So, you know what I mean? So it actually does kind of benefit in that way. But Jay, are you actually going to start watching Raw again, like with the new year, or are you just going to continue to
put me on the spot, man?
Yeah, I don't. Well, you said you might check it out. The New Year's around the corner.
YouTube.
You're gonna turn a new leaf? No, just YouTube.
Jay, they got you again, man. Vincent Kennedy McMahon has got you again.
See, I understand what's going on now. Evan is a double agent.
Yes.
He's been working with WWE on the side. He's come and tried to infiltrate the Underground Railroad. Well,
I've unfortunately been exposed.
Well,
all this time I was a double
Harriet
agent.
Tubman back in the day, she said, "Dead men tell no tales." So you know what has to happen right now.
I guess I'm no longer living.
Look, why don't we all just agree to start fresh, rebound in the new year, and start watching Monday Night Raw in the new year at this point?
You can do that.
I mean, that would imply I wasn't already watching.
Well,
I think I'm gonna give it a shot myself. I'm gonna give it a shot myself. Because I'm on this sabbatical right now, which has been nice and restful, and then I'll come back first Raw of the year, and if after a couple things are no good, no bueno, then maybe I'll just step right on back and say sayonara once again to Raw. I mean, it's one of those shows right now where it's like 3 hours. I'm either gonna DVR it and just watch the highlights, or I'll try to watch it live a couple of times. But they got to entertain me. They got to give me a reason to spend those 3 hours on Raw rather than something else. Because I mean, time is precious, and my
really
3 hours on Raw are precious.
Yeah, I really think that this brand split has really, really hurt Monday Night Raw the most, because we talked about for a long period of time before the brand split how basically separating the rosters, they don't even have that big of a roster to begin with. And now that you've seen what's happened for a few months after the draft has occurred, you've seen that there is a huge void within the entire WWE roster, that they don't have enough stars for both shows to cover, And I think Monday Night Raw has suffered the most from that, because we know that all we have on Monday Night Raw is Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Kevin Owens, and unfortunately,
two of those got them, to be quite honest.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and not only that, but we've already seen plenty of two of those guys, and quite honestly, the fans are just sick and tired of it. So I think Raw is in trouble because of the brand split. They don't have enough depth within the roster to entertain people for 3 hours. I mean, come on, who are they? That's why they brought in the cruiserweights, right? Because the cruiserweights they thought was going to revive things, and they thought it was going to be something fresh, because they don't trust or they don't rely on the current guys that they have on the roster right now. So they bring in the cruiserweight division, and that seems to have been questionable too. So I think that Raw has suffered a lot. They really have to try and find a way to bring back the audience to sit through 3 hours. And because Road to WrestleMania is coming, I'm expecting things to get better. I'm not guaranteeing things will get better. But I think maybe we will start seeing more of Brock Lesnar and Goldberg in the new year, because unfortunately, that's all WWE has right now to depend on.
Well, I mean, if all else fails, you do have them to fall back on. So
Yeah, Squashberg and Bork Laser.
Rick Glazer, that's right.
But how about that?
Yeah,
How about that suspension for Lesnar though from UFC? Did you guys see that about that he was actually suspended for a year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's something else, huh? I mean, it's a big
a
deal.
year from the date the match happened?
That I don't know. It might have been a year from the day it was issued, which wasn't very long ago. So, but you just think like, this guy goes from having all this momentum, like he wins his UFC fight in July, and then in August, destroys Randy Orton at SummerSlam, and you're thinking, well, the momentum for Lesnar, you just can't you can't stop this train right now. And then he gets squashed by Goldberg, and now is suspended from UFC for a year or whatever. And so you're saying to yourself, man, that momentum went away in a hurry, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, how seriously do we really take Brock Lesnar at this point?
I mean, don't let him hear you question his seriousness. But
I don't even think he cares. I don't think it's affecting him at all.
That's not a chance you want to take, though.
No, well, in my double agent reporting, I wanted to ask a quick question to Brock Lesnar. But you know what? I'm sure that I would no longer be able to speak when I was finished with that question.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth giving a shot. That's the life of a double agent, right? I mean, that's just the way it is.
Well, WWE does a good job of trying to make people care, and I think it's effective. When it comes to the whole Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg thing, the only reason why I would say that it quote unquote wasn't for me is because they do shit like that with part-timers, and they don't give that type of consideration to people who are there on a week-to-week basis. But if I am looking at this and I am getting my bitterness, if I am getting my pissed offness out of the situation, this did somehow, some way add a spark to what's going on between those two, but in a weird way that Brock Lesnar he's like intrinsically tied to Goldberg now. Like, I don't want to see Brock Lesnar do anything in WWE outside of whatever it is that he's going to end up doing with Goldberg. So it's like, while the whole UFC fight and the Randy Orton match, it catapulted Brock Lesnar to a different level where he had the world just right there for the taking. He could have done anything in WWE after that point. For example, added some legitimacy to a title that's struggling right now. He could have done that.
Sure.
But it's like
that red painted title,
the Fruit Roll Up Championship. Yeah, he can't do anything but finish whatever is happening with Goldberg now.
Yes,
And
that's absolutely
leads me to question, though. It leads me to question, though. I didn't mean to cut you off, Evan. That is there not an opportunity for somebody after Goldberg to possibly raise their status? Because it's not like I understand Lesnar's stock in real life and in kayfabe goggle vision. I understand his stock is hurt, but it's not like somebody like a Kevin Owens or a Seth Rollins couldn't rise as a superstar by getting a victory over him, because I guess Goldberg carries it now, but he still carries some shred of beating the Undertaker's streak and having a 2-year win streak. It's not like having a victory over Lesnar now is meaningless.
Yeah, it's
just
definitely
not as
would
much.
be meaningless. Yeah, but you just hit it right there. It won't be as much because Goldberg is holding on to it, and whatever they do next, they're going to trade it off back and forth, and it'll be less effective.
And there's that drawback, I feel like, because like you could have, again, everybody wanted to see Lesnar lose when he finally lost to a young up and comer, i.e. Roman Reigns, i.e. Seth Rollins. It's one of these, again, I'm just throwing names out there, i.e. Kevin Owens, guys who were on the rise coming up. And instead now, he loses to Goldberg here in such a short period of time that now you really kind of double whammy the idea of Lesnar putting one of those young guys over and it having the same type of effect or impact that it would have had prior to. that's where that drawback comes in. But again, the Goldberg and Lesnar story, I am more intrigued in that story as a result of the weird finish at SummerSlam. I am looking forward to what happens next. Whereas if that was a full-length match, I don't necessarily know if I would feel that way.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys got anything else you would like to talk about?
Well, I don't know if you guys have heard the story. I know me and Evan did about Stephanie McMahon possibly saying Ronda Rousey could be returning to WWE next year.
I have not heard about that, but it sounds intriguing. I actually laid out a whole little storyline for Ronda Rousey to come to WWE. They didn't pick up off of it. They touched on it a little bit. My whole idea was to have Charlotte be this like dominant female in WWE and say she's the most dominant female athlete on the planet, and then kind of like take some jabs at Ronda Rousey, run through the roster, and then she comes in and they have their big confrontation. I think that would have been cool, but I guess we're past that point now. But I would still like to see Ronda Rousey in WWE.
Absolutely. I feel the same way because, again, she's like that draw power, for the female division. Again, like we talk about Brock Lesnar and how much drawing power he can have and how many extra eyes are really on WWE's product whenever he's around. And I feel like you'll get that same type of thing with like a Ronda Rousey. You know what I mean? Maybe not to the same degree, but definitely you'll get more people interested in what she's going to do in the women's division, because the women's division's already on the rise anyway. Again, it's a lot better than it used to be. Mm-hmm. Even if there's still room for it to grow, it's still a heck of a lot better than the old days.
Can you say that again?
Oh, it's a heck of a lot better than it was in the old days.
There's still room to grow.
Still room to grow, yes. It's still on the rise. But Ronda Rousey coming in, even if she was in a part-time role or, not even there every single week. I mean, I'd rather her be there every single week, please. I think we've had enough of the part-timers. But even if she was only there, every 3 or 4 weeks, again, I'm still saying she'd be there more than like a Brock Lesnar. But her presence and her impact would improve the division. It would make things more dynamic and interesting because you've seen what she can do as the UFC's women's revolution is going on, actually kind of simultaneously. I mean, their women's division has gotten better and better over the years too, and she's had played a big role in that. So I think she would definitely play a big role in furthering the women's division in WWE, which, like we just said, it is on the rise. You bring in a big name like Ronda Rousey, and now you can maybe take it to that next level. And that's a big deal. That's a huge deal right there for WWE and for women's pro wrestling.
Yeah, you said the women's division over in the UFC has gotten better. Should I guess it's gotten too good? Like every time you get a new champion, they're getting their ass kicked, and the title was being taken from them. I think it happened like 3 or 4 times in a row where a person wins in their first title defense, they get that ass whooped. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
She would definitely bring legitimacy to. And again, I'm not saying there is. I guess I should say she would bring more legitimacy to the women's division over in WWE.
Oh, if Ronda Rousey was to come to WWE, like it's a wrap for the Universal Championship. Like it's over.
Yeah, she would actually overshadow. She has the potential to overshadow many men in that roster, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think the competition and the quality would be great, and she would just be another pioneer for that to happen. And I think, why not? I would love to see her, because last time she was in WWE at WrestleMania, that moment, even though it might have not been such a relevant moment that relates with the product today, it still influenced a lot of people. And part of why WrestleMania that year is so memorable was because of that moment. And it goes to show you that if we have her around more often, creating more moments like that, then hey, WWE can benefit a lot off of it. And you can also create a lot of different storyline scenarios out of her, whether it's her being the bully or her being the underdog against, a Nia Jax or something like that. Boom, you get it right there.
I just had a thought. Like, a great criticism for any of the women's wrestlers who she might be pitted against, assuming she comes in and has a feud, is that the one complaint I've had about Ronda Rousey has nothing to do with her athleticism. It's that she lost one match and cried about it forever. and that got to me because it's like you don't lose one fight and quit. You take your ball home, you figure out what you did wrong, you pick your shit back up, and go out there and fight some more. And any other women's wrestler who might be in opposition to her can use that as fuel for like their feud. I can see it right now. I would love to see Charlotte throw that in her face.
Yeah, I can actually see Charlotte like doing that. I could see like I could really see that feud just being excellent because not only that, you have Ric Flair's daughter against Ronda Rousey. Like the star power is there. Ric Flair would obviously be involved in that in some way, shape, or form. Whether he was in, maybe he's in Rousey's corner. Kind of similar to what just happened with Sasha Banks. Maybe he helps Rousey out, and that the type of pop you could get from the crowd there and the amount of star power that's in that match is amazing. And again, that's your women's revolution. Stuff like that is proof that the women's division is going to another level when you get a big time draw like Ronda Rousey. I mean, I really hope that they can make it happen. I genuinely am hoping for this.
Okay, any parting shots before we head off air?
Not a parting shot, but a parting congratulations. One Mr. Lucas Rojas joined the college graduation club.
Congrats.
Thank you, guys.
Congrats. I'm still waiting. I'll be there soon.
Same. Few more months.
One more class.
One more class.
Oh
Man,
my God!
You're even closer.
Yeah, you make that sound like it's far away, Jay.
It's like 3 credits, Jay.
No, I know, and that's what's because I won't even admit how long I've known this and how long I've like bullshitted. Well, you know what? The thing is, I've done so much in 2016. I gotta save something for 2017. So.
True.
Yeah.
True.
You
gotta
get
like that
full to the brim.
Gotta get that accomplishment in for 2017. I don't blame you. I'm doing the same thing, my friend. Same thing.
2017 is our year, damn it.
Yes, it is. Well, yeah. At least like the first 20 days of it.
One of many.
Am I the first panel member to graduate college?
Bragging rights.
I don't know.
I think you may be.
Probably.
Aw, shit. There's a reason Lucas called me the professor.
Oh, well, no, Matt, way back in the day, the original, one of the original hosts of PWTR.
Oh, okay. Well, number 2 ain't bad.
Okay.
I thought Stephen graduated.
Yeah, Stephen too. Yep.
I graduated before Steven.
Okay.
Wow. The exclusive club.
I don't know. It's gaining members very rapidly.
Rapidly.
Cass is there. Lucas now.
Wow.
And now Evan very shortly.
Yeah.
And me whenever I stop being lazy.
Let's all make that paper, guys.
Alrighty. Anything else?
No.
Try to avoid Santa Claus.
Oh
yes.
Yeah.
Stop being a Scrooge, Jay.
No.
That's why.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Oh, so can I tell you guys a story? So,
please. Yes.
I was talking to my supervisor, and I was in her office, and she had this wireless Bluetooth speaker, and I was like, "Oh, that's nice," and she was like, "Oh yeah, this is yada yada yada," and she was telling me everything that was great about it, and I was like, "Yeah, the speakers that I have in my office, they suck. You can hear static through them. They are absolutely terrible. This is some shit that came out in like the 90s, and I have them in my office." Man. So we're talking about the speaker and all of that. So it was just like a very casual like conversation that meant nothing. We were just like BSing around until we got to the real work stuff. So time passes. I walk into the office the other day. My supervisor and another one of my coworkers, they come into the office and they're like, "Merry Christmas," and they hand me a wrapped box. I open the box and it's a fucking speaker that I was talking to her about. And this speaker costs like $200. Now at that point, I'm like, shit, because I didn't even think to get them anything for Christmas. And when I was telling you guys before the show, I think it was you, Lucas, you were like, "Oh, you don't have to buy anybody anything. If somebody gets you a $200 fucking speaker, like you gotta buy him something." So that's where I was. I kid you not. I got up it was like at 11 or 12. I was out all day for about 7 or 8 hours, just shopping, trying to find gifts. And now it's I think I'm good now. But it's always like, if somebody gets you a gift, they heard you say you wanted this, and they fucking get the gift. No muss, no fuss. Like, there's a certain level of anxiety and nervousness there. Like, oh shit, I hope what I got is like good enough. But I don't know. You know, I hope it's a thought that counts. Isn't that a thing people say?
Yeah. It's a
props to your supervisor for being that observant.
Yeah.
It's a trap, Jay.
I mean, that's it's not what a Scrooge would say, but
man,
it's
like,
a trap.
Just for future reference, nobody ever buy me anything for Christmas. Please, no. It's too much pressure. Way too much.
No, it isn't. You put the pressure on yourself, damn it.
Because I'm trying to be a good person.
He wants to be a good little boy. So
there's no such thing. There's no such thing as you have to get somebody a gift and be.
This is a capitalist holiday, Lucas. You have to. The government says so.
See, this is what happens. One person buys a gift, and then everybody has to buy a gift because of that. And this is how
the
Christmas
whole idea.
started. Yep. Mm-hmm. And they got me.
It's a scam. It's a trap.
They got me.
You know.
Mm-hmm. They got me. Alrighty.
They really got you.
And guys, there's a lot to look forward to. You know, when it comes to PWF Empire going forward, we will be recording the very first episode of the new era of Last Mark Standing soon. I'm going to be finalizing the nominations for the PWF Empire Year-End Awards, aka the Dubbies, and also our Facebook page is going to become poppin'. Okay, because we have Tony, she's going to be working on the Facebook page, and Lucas, I know you got some ideas too. You two guys got to, you know, get together, meet, hash that out. You know, we were actually talking about you earlier. She said you were the Dean Ambrose of PWF Empire.
Whoa, why the hell am I the Dean Ambrose of PWF Empire?
Isn't that what you said about me, Cass, and Lucas? Like, we each identified with certain Shield members?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Because he is...
Lucas, I think you were the Dean Ambrose, too.
Yeah, because he is kind of crazy. So, yeah, it fits. But
that's news to me.
But I don't know how. Me and Cass try to tell you every single chance we get. But, no, well, in all fairness, she did say you were like, no, I'm not going to tell you that part because Cass is going now, so I got to start a feud between you two guys. Or between you and Tony now. So, yeah. You interpret that in whatever way you want to. The Dean Ambrose of PWF Empire.
I'll figure it out.
Okay. And that is it for us this week. Everyone, thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.
Later days.
Did you just steal Cass's line?
Of course.
That's so
I had to take a minute to catch on. Okay.
I was waiting for you to, like...
Gimmick infringement.
Oh, yeah. So, I gotta be